Mr. Papadopoulos, I'd like to ask you, in your opening statement, you cited that you've identified major distribution hubs in cities, including Phoenix, Los Angeles, Denver, and Chicago. Is that in your opening statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so a general question would be, obviously, without revealing ongoing law enforcement investigations and operations, if you've identified the major hubs of narcotics distributions in these cities, Phoenix, Los Angeles, Denver, and Chicago, can we look forward to major arrests in Phoenix, Los Angeles, Denver, and Chicago?
Yes, sir. As you know, the DEA is constantly working these investigations. I mentioned Operation Last Mile, which was announced in May, which is a year-long effort focusing on the U.S. distributors of these cartels, where we arrested over 3,300 people, seized $104 million in cash and assets, and took about 8,500 guns off the street. That was across the entire U.S.
Understood. The American citizenry asks common sense questions, and we are sworn by our oath to convey those questions. And it's a good question. If you've identified a narcotics hub, and that means you're watching it, so we expect those people to be arrested. The volume of drugs seized and the arrests made is reflective of the realities of effective law enforcement, but also the overwhelming amount of trafficking that we're dealing with and the criminal activity. It's at a level we've not seen in America, and we expect large numbers of arrests. If we identify these guys, we've got to break their back, make them eat each other. That's just fine with me. Mr. Papadopoulos, some things along, some percentages and statistics are law enforcement sensitive, so I recognize that. But I'm going to ask you to share with America to the extent that you can, so that the citizenry can comprehend just what an overwhelming challenge we face regarding the fentanyl that's already in our country. As we consider the volume seized, which is an unprecedented amount. You guys are pretty much seizing everything you have operational capability to seize. And it's an incredible job that you're doing. But regarding the volume seized, regardless of at ports of entry or between ports of entry, can you share with America what you would consider to be a number that the public could consume and would not interfere with the operations? What's the percentage of seizures versus the totality of volume that has come into our country?
Sir, thanks for the question. I think DEA strives to seize as many drugs as possible. We don't find any acceptable amount of drugs entering the United States. So we continue to do whatever we can.
Of course, and you're seizing all your, I would imagine if you had twice the staff, you'd be seizing twice the volume that you have right now. There's so much out there. A drug dealer told me last year, he said, Cap, we have so much fentanyl, we're giving it away. That's why people are dying. They want their product to be more popular on the streets, so they're making it heavier. And this is a guy that's been in the game for quite some time, is incarcerated. And he said that they essentially are giving volumes away, and when people start dying, they reel it back. He said that they abandoned volumes of fentanyl if they're going to cross state lines, if they're moving an operation to another state, because it's so much cheaper to replace the fentanyl than it is to risk the interstate trafficking. So you're seizing unbelievable volumes of fentanyl. But how does that volume compare with what, in your estimation, would be the total? You seizing 25%, 50%, 15%?
Sir, I'd like to consult our intelligence division on that. I don't know that I would want to give you a more precise answer.
Right next to you.
This is DHS, but yes.
Sir, so a little explanation first. The challenge with something like fentanyl is being synthetic. There's no agriculture-based place to get an initial estimate. So unlike cocaine or marijuana, where we can kind of do an oversight to see general cultivation estimates, we can't do that with synthetics like fentanyl or methamphetamine. When we look at it holistically from an intelligence perspective, it's probably within that 25% mark based off demand in the
Thank you. I think that's an honest answer. That's an honest answer, and this will paint the picture for America of the challenge that we face. I yield the balance of my time and